My name is Amanda Cooper, and I've been married to my husband Ryan for 7 years. We live in a cozy suburb outside of Seattle, Washington, in a 2-story house we bought just before our wedding. Our life had always been fairly routine, filled with dinner dates, weekend movie nights, and spontaneous getaways. We were one of those couples people looked at and said, they've got it all figured out. But beneath the surface, I always felt there was something Ryan wasn't telling me. Some corner of his mind he kept hidden like a locked room with no key, that all changed one evening when he brought up something that turned our world upside down. It started on a Thursday. We were sipping wine on the back porch after dinner, watching the sky fade from lavender to black. The air was warm summer just starting to settle in. Ryan leaned over, brushing a piece of hair from my cheek, and said, "There's something I've been thinking about lately." His voice was calm, but there was a tension behind it that made my stomach twist. I raised an eyebrow and smiled, trying to keep things light. "You're not thinking about trading in the grill again, are you?" He laughed, but the sound didn't reach his eyes. "No, it's not that. It's something a little more personal." I set my glass down and looked at him. Really looked. His fingers were tapping against his thigh, his jaw tight. "What is it, Ryan?" He hesitated, then finally blurted it out. "I want us to try something different. Something with someone else." For a moment, I didn't understand. My mind ran through a dozen innocent explanations, a vacation, a business venture. But then his eyes held mine, and I realized what he meant. "You mean with another person, like together?" He nodded slowly. "Not just anyone. Someone we both know. Someone I think you'd be comfortable with." My heart began to race. I wasn't sure if it was fear, shock, or something more complicated. He looked down, then said quietly, "Emily." Emily was my best friend. We met in college and had been inseparable ever since. She was outgoing, vibrant, the kind of person who made friends just standing in line for coffee. She was also single, and I'd be lying if I said there hadn't been moments, brief, unspoken, when I noticed the way Ryan looked at her. Not in a disrespectful way, but in that quiet, curious way people sometimes do. When their thoughts stray, I didn't respond right away. I stood up and walked to the edge of the porch, staring out into the dark. The idea was shocking, but what surprised me even more was that part of me wasn't entirely appalled. Part of me was curious too. Ryan joined me, slipping his hand into mine. "Look, I'm not saying we have to. I'm just telling you what I've been thinking. I trust you, and I wanted to be honest." That night, I barely slept. My mind kept circling back to Emily. I imagined how she might react if we brought this up. Would she be offended? Intrigued? Was there even a chance she'd consider it a week past before I brought it up again? We were lying in bed and I turned to him, my voice barely above a whisper. "Do you think she'd say yes?" Ryan propped himself up on one elbow. "I don't know. Maybe we could talk to her if you're open to it." I nodded slowly. Just talk, nothing more. The next day, I invited Emily over for lunch. We sat on the patio, the sun warm against our skin. I tried to find the right moment, the right words. "It wasn't easy, Emily," I finally said. "I need to ask you something, and you can absolutely say no." Her eyes lit up with curiosity. "Okay, shoot." I glanced at Ryan, who nodded slightly, then looked back at her. "Ryan, and I have been talking about exploring something different together with someone we trust, someone like you." There was a long silence. Emily blinked, her expression unreadable. "You're serious?" I nodded. "Only if you're comfortable. We're not asking you to do anything you don't want to. We just thought, if anyone, maybe it could be you." She sat back, swirling the ice in her glass. Then, to my surprise, she smiled. "I've never been asked something like this before, but I'm not opposed to the idea." Over the next few weeks, the three of us talked more. We set boundaries. We were cautious, respectful. There was no rushing, no pressure. We wanted to make sure everyone felt safe, comfortable, and clear on where the lines were. It wasn't about being reckless, it was about trust, connection, and exploring a new dimension of our relationship. The night we finally decided to go through with it, I was nervous. High didn't suddenly change overnight, but something had definitely shifted. Our marriage felt stronger, more honest. We had dared to open a door most couples kept locked, and somehow instead of breaking us, it brought us closer. But the story didn't end there. Emily remained a close friend, but she didn't become a regular part of our relationship in that way. It had been a one-time exploration, something beautiful and fleeting. We all agreed it was better that way. Months passed, and life went on. Ryan and I traveled to Napa Valley, celebrated our 8th anniversary with a quiet dinner in a candle-lit restaurant, and every so often when we were alone and the world was quiet, we'd reflect on that chapter of our lives. It wasn't about chasing thrills or giving into temptation. It was about trust, about stepping beyond the expected and into something raw and human. Looking back, I know not everyone would understand what we did, and that's okay. Marriage isn't about following someone else's rule book, it's about writing your own. And for us, that chapter was one. We'll always hold close, even if we never open that particular door again. If you had asked me a year ago if I'd ever consider something like that, I would have laughed. But sometimes love asks us to grow in ways we never imagined. And when you meet that challenge with honesty, respect, and compassion, the result can be more beautiful than you ever dreamed. We're still just Amanda and Ryan, still grocery shopping on Sundays, still arguing over what movie to watch, still stealing kisses when no one's looking. But now there's an even deeper bond between us, an unshakable truth that we can face anything together as long as we're honest and hold each other's hearts with care, and that in the end is the real story.